Peace and Pan-Africanism. If you have a question about your son or daughter, autism, ADHD, conduct disorder, speech and language, reading, math, comprehension, intellectual disability, health impairment, 504, IEP, psych eval, suspension, snow bunny racism, any questions about your sons or daughters, education or mental health, you can text my phone, your first name, your last name, not your last name, first name and your number, and I will call you. First name and your number, and I will call you. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. University of Massachusetts, Amherst, Saturday, March the 2nd. University of Massachusetts, Amherst, Saturday, March the 2nd. You could text me for the flyer. So let's see who we got. Let's go to the phones. We didn't waste the time because Instagram is sabotaging. So we behind schedule. Good morning, Sister Conchita. Where you at in Florida, good sister?
I am in Tallahassee this morning.
Tallahassee, Florida. That's where Florida A&M is, right?
Correct, yeah.
I will be in Florida A&M for the first time ever. I'll be in Tallahassee for the first time ever, March the 25th to the 29th. It's a week-long Black Psychology conference that I'll be keynoting, and it's open to the community, so hopefully you get a chance to come on through there one of those days.
I would love to. I lost my sister about a couple of years ago, and she was a mental health counselor. And because of her, I became much more interested in those type things, and it's so much, especially in our community, that we need to wake up and do, that we can accept and do better,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. We have to do it before the kids can do it,
That's right.
Do it.
That's right. Sorry for the loss of your sister.
You had asked one time about help on your different platforms that you were doing. I don't know. I probably would never travel, I don't guess, but there were other things I guess people could do to help you.
Yes, ma'am. In what capacity? Well, one of the things that I put out there for those who were interested in being a secretary for one of the many initiatives that I'll be starting this year, they could reach out to me by text message, basically to help me organize a lot of the people, to keep the names and numbers and contacts and emails and correspondence and that sort of thing. So if you're interested in assisting in that regard, I just need you to send me a text message with your name and your city, and I'll be in touch with you as soon as I'm able to bring you on board.
No problem. I think it's been a few months you had mentioned that, and I thought
yes,
I don't know how
correct.
to contact him. So yes, I'll be happy to do it. I'm retired now. I used to work in the state with taxes and with SunTrust, so I've done a lot of things. But this is something that I think I will value more than any of those things. Got you. No problem, Queen. For us.
Absolutely. I'll be back in Florida as well, not only for Florida A&M March the 25th to the 29th, but I'll also be in Florida, down in Bunnell, Florida, on May the 1st. We're going to be having a protest in support of Brendan Deppa, the 17-year-old, now 18-year-old boy who attacked a teacher's assistant in Palm Coast High School and has subsequently been in prison since the day Malcolm X was assassinated, February the 21st of 2023, and he could potentially get 30 years in prison. And so we're trying to fight to get him justice. First of all, he was certified as an adult, which he never should have been. That was done exclusively to pressure by white folks in Florida. And, we don't justify what he did, but what our argument is that he was offended against himself because he never got the help he should have appropriately had, being a young black boy diagnosed with autism, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, conduct disorder, intermittent explosive disorder. He never got the services or support he was entitled to. And had he gotten what he was entitled to, that situation involving the teacher's assistant would have never transpired.
I agree.
So I'll be keeping you posted on that as well. But definitely, please text me, Queen. We could use your help, and I'll be bringing you in on that. Also, we just got finished prepping the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy over the past 3 days. We were prepping it for paint day, meaning, we had to cover up everything we needed to cover up to make sure no paint got on it when we finally start painting the rooms and the hallways and the bathrooms and the offices. So we just finished up the paint prep yesterday. And so now it's just up to me to choose a paint day for the school and to invite select persons to come on out and help us paint. That's only open to donors, though. So for those who want to be a part of the paint day, they need to make a donation to the school in order to be eligible for that. But the paint day is probably going to be one day next week, either March or April.
Do you have the contact information for the school?
Yes, ma'am. What you can do, send me a text and just say send donation information, as well as Florida A&M information. And also let me know that you're interested in volunteering to be an assistant, and I'll get all that to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, Queen. Be blessed.
You too.
All right now. Take care. If you have a question about your son or daughter, now is the time. Text your name and city, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858.
Hello.
Good morning, Brother DeMarcus. How's Houston, Texas treating you, brother?
It's great, man.
All right. Go right ahead with your question.
Yes, I had a little concern about, so this is for my son. He was sick for a period of time during school, and he's been out for maybe like over a month. And so I know me and my wife were having issues with him actually catching up. We've been trying to do like a little tutoring, but it's like kind of way behind to the point where it's kind of she's thinking, well, they're trying to put him in like special ed or something like that. They've already tried to put him on medicines and things like that. And I was just trying to figure out, is there a certain right way to kind of go about that before just putting him on medications and in special ed, or is this just something that we need to kind of just force more tutoring?
What grade is your son in?
So he's in the third grade.
He's in the third grade. If you don't mind me asking, why did he miss so much school?
He was sick. He was sick. He had from like allergies and things like that, where it's been like severe of the school wrongdoing.
Okay, the reason why I asked you, the reason why he's missing so much. Let me ask you this: how much more school do you anticipate he will miss?
So right now he's done with all of that. So right now he's been back in school, but he's been having like so much homework and things where it's like he doesn't even understand, and we've been trying to push him like every day, as far as him catching up. But literally, it's like he'll catch up a little bit, and he's still kind of behind. He's been trying to ask the teacher up and have
Okay, let me take you back real quick. How much more school you think he will miss? Is he back on schedule now, or do you anticipate he will miss more school due to the illness?
So he's back on schedule now.
Okay, because if he's back on schedule now, I don't think it's an issue. Now, if he's behind academically, then he would need tutoring to catch up. What I need you to understand is, as far as the special ed conversation goes, you cannot qualify for special ed unless you have trouble learning. If your son doesn't have trouble learning and he's just behind because he missed, a month or so of school, then that's just tutoring. That's not special ed. Special ed is a child who has trouble learning. Your son don't have trouble learning. He's behind because he missed so much school, unless you already thought he had trouble learning. Did you think he had a learning problem before he missed school, or do you feel that his deficiencies are due to the fact that he missed so much school?
As far as his learning, I mean, he's been making like, I say like more so like B's, all B's. So he's kind of like in the middle. But he does catch on, certain things. It's just with the gap from, everybody else, like the friends of the students, like where they're at with the lessons now. That's the part that he's trying to have, because he's kind of missed, the part of the introduction to it. So he's kind of, doing homework, but he don't even understand, it kind of like everybody else.
Okay, here's what I would do. If I had a third grade son who missed some school and is behind, I would get him a tutor outside of school. If the school is offering tutoring, that's fine. Just make sure they're not pulling him out of his major classrooms to get that tutoring, thereby exacerbating the problem. Even if the school is offering tutoring to help close the gap between your son and his classmates, you still need to invest in private tutoring yourself, because the school is never going to give our black boys what they need. So you need to find a retired teacher, or a teacher that is operating their own tutoring service, a homeschool service. Find you a college student, a high school student. You don't have to go to a professional tutoring agency. You can just find a high school student or a college student or a retired teacher to work with your son 3 days a week for an hour each session. That's all your son needs. We are about to enter March. When do the children get out for the summer in Houston? Do they get out in May or do they get out in June?
They're out of school in May, but my spring break is in March for them, I know.
Right, but they get out for good for the summer in May. Is that early May, late May, mid-May?
It's like mid-May.
Okay, so we in mid-February, so that means your son only got 3 months of school left. I would never get my child evaluated for special ed with 3 months to go in the school year. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is next year your son is going to be with a new teacher in a new grade, and he's going to be a little bit older and a little bit more mature. So it doesn't make any sense to qualify your son for special ed in this grade, in the 3rd grade with this teacher, when in 3 months' time, he's going to be at a new grade level assigned to another teacher. So what I would do is get him a tutor for the rest of the year and over the summertime, and then I would see how he responds when he gets back to school next year. But if y'all don't get him a tutor, we're not going to close this gap. You have to get him a tutor outside of school if we want to address this. Now, if he begins to have medical issues again, if your son begins to have medical issues again in the future that will cause him to miss significant amounts of school, then you might want to qualify him for special ed for a health impairment. Which could then qualify your son to receive homebound instruction. So let's say he has a health impairment for those allergies. So then he would then qualify for homebound instruction. And now the special ed teacher would come to the house and work with your son every day to make sure he's not falling behind in his work. So if that medical situation arises again, you may want to qualify him for homebound special ed as a other health impaired child. OHI is the category, just like you have, specific learning disability or autism. There's a category called other health impairment. And your son would have a other health impairment for allergies. And because it's causing him to miss so much school, he'll get homebound instruction where the teacher will come to the house and work with your son.
Okay.
All right. But you got my number, bro. So if you ever need to reach out, do so.
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
Okay, brother. Be safe. All right now. If you have a question about your son or daughter, text your name and your city to 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858.
Hello.
Good morning, Sister Brittany. How's Alexandria treating you?
It's been okay. It's special. It has its moments.
Yes, indeed. Talk to me about your autistic child.
Okay, I have a son. He's 13, and I'm just trying to figure out what I can do. Sometimes he has these moments when he likes to walk off and leave the home, and he comes back, but it's like when he's gone, I don't know where he is, and so it's been a few times because he is autistic. I have to call the police. So I've tried to get him into programs and everything, but it's so hard to find a program for him and get like these services for him that that he needs. And like this is happening like way too often. I have like 5 children, and like, you know, this is crazy. Like I'm overwhelmed with this situation. He keeps doing it, and I just.
So your 13-year-old is eloping from the home. How many times is this happening per week?
Well, it doesn't happen per week.
What about monthly? On average, how many times a month does he leave the home?
Last year, it happened about 13 times.
13 times the whole year, or 13 times a month? The whole year.
He just started last year, and then this year he's done it twice.
Okay. He's 13 years old. He's autistic. Is he high functioning, low functioning, or average?
Low functioning.
Okay, he's low functioning autism. Does he also have a diagnosis of intellectual disability?
Yes.
He does. So that means, okay, that's not good, because that means when he leaves that house, almost anybody could probably manipulate him into doing something that could put his safety at risk. You got sex traffickers out there. You got white racists out there. You got all kind of situations out there. Where is the biological father?
His biological father just came out of prison. He went to prison for like 8 years for domestic violence towards me. It was like severe.
Okay.
So he's somewhere else.
Did your son witness the domestic violence?
He didn't witness the domestic violence, but he was abused by himself.
Okay, physically abused.
Yes.
Okay, not sexually.
He told me he would have done that to him. So I'm not sure. It's a sick story.
Okay, you say, okay, the father told you that he would have sexually abused his son?
Yeah, I was at work, and he told me, he was like, if you don't come get him, I'm going to do this and that to him.
The father's told you that if you don't come pick up your son, if you don't come pick up your son, he would sexually harm his own child.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we know why he's leaving the house. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. But he has physically abused him, yes.
Okay. That's why he's eloping. Has your son ever received professional therapy?
Yes.
For how long? When did that stop?
It was for like a year, and then we did family services.
How long ago was that? You said for a year. During what year?
It was 2020.
2020. So 4 years ago. He hasn't had any therapy since.
So we've done family therapy, and then he had ABA services for a little while.
Okay, but the ABA services, that would have only spoken to the autism, not the emotional abuse or the trauma.
Right.
Okay. He needs therapy now. He's 13. He's been abused. Trauma in the home, some dysfunction when the father was there. Now the father is not a part of their life. That young man is going through a lot. Not to mention he has to deal with his autism. I'm very concerned about his safety. You have to get him a therapist immediately. You can go through your insurance. You can actually Google black therapists in your city. You're in the Virginia area, so they're all around there. Black psychologist is all around there. If you want, you could text me for the name and number of one of the past presidents of the Association of Black Psychologists. He's no longer in the Virginia area, but that's where he used to live. And I'm sure he can connect you to somebody who can work with your son. Also, you need to put alarms on your door. Whenever your son leaves the home, you get a notification on your phone. A bell goes off. You got to have a way of knowing when he walks out that house. You need alarms or signals on your door so you know when he leaves. And when he leaves, do you call the police? Do you make a missing persons report?
Yes.
Now, how long is he gone when he does leave? He's gone for how long? He leaves, and when does he come back? The next day, a week, a few hours? How long is he gone?
For a few hours. Like he just did it last night, and I was
What
kind of
time
like,
does he leave? What time does he leave?
he likes leaving at night.
He likes leaving at night. Around what
But
time?
he's done it during the day as well.
But he likes the night. What time at night?
Just right when it starts to get dark.
Okay,
So
and where does he go? Where does he go?
He goes to the grocery store.
And does what at the grocery store?
And just like walks behind the grocery store. He walks.
Are you sure he's not meeting somebody? You sure he's not meeting up and for sex or smoking or just friends that hang out? You said he's walking behind the grocery store. What is he doing walking behind the grocery store?
Well, he walks. He walks, and when I'm following him, he'll start running, and he doesn't have like a way to meet it because he doesn't have a phone. But I mean, I don't know how he would. I just got him my Xbox, so I don't know if he could communicate on there. But
okay, you got him an Xbox.
He's been doing this long before I got him the Xbox. So I don't know. I don't know why he's doing it, but he scared me yesterday because he had a hammer and he went outside and he was like hitting the tree, and then he just walked off with the hammer. I'm like, you cannot do that. Give me that. And he wouldn't. And he just kept running.
So he walked out the house with a hammer, started hitting the tree with the hammer, and then walked off with the hammer.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I don't like that. If the police would have pulled up on your son and he had that hammer and they told him to drop that hammer and he didn't drop that hammer, you know exactly what's going to happen next. We got to get him some help, and we got to get it soon. So right now there's no services in the house currently, correct?
No, it was a situation where he was upset with his sister, so he started barricading the doors and everything.
How old are the other children? He's 13. You said you have 5. How old are the other children?
12 and one is 16, a girl. Then I have a 12-year-old girl. Then I have a 3-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl. So he's the only boy.
Okay, he's the only boy, and and he's the second oldest?
Yes.
Only boy, second oldest. Wow, so he probably feels alienated as well because he's the only male child and he's autistic with some potential intellectual limitations. Are there any, first of all, do you have him in any extracurricular programs? Anything for autistic kids, social skills training, chess club, anything like that, robotics? They love to work with their hands and things that, require them not to have to speak as much, like chess or robotics. Is he involved in anything outside the home?
Well, the only time I do have him into something is like the summer program.
What about during the school year? What about now?
No.
Okay.
No.
You should contact the local Department of Recreation as well as the school board and get a list of the extracurricular programs that they offer. You got to get your son enrolled in something, because him simply being in a house full of women with nothing to do, that's not helping as well. But I think his biggest issue is he needs counseling. He needs somebody to talk to other than you and his sisters, and he needs it bad. And because he's not able to really verbally articulate himself, that only adds to his frustration and his anger, and that's why he's eloping from the home. And I'm just concerned that he may end up doing something to himself or someone else. I'm concerned that he can get manipulated. I'm concerned he could get picked up by the wrong person. Excuse me, I don't like it. Does he go to school regularly?
Yes.
And what does the school say about him? How does he achieve in school?
Well, his school, because he has an IEP, and he has dyslexia, but he's been doing like exceptionally well. Like he's been really doing good. He's really like, when it comes to his work and homework and things, like he's really into it. Like he's really focused on it. And he comes home, does his homework and everything. Like he's really trying. He's talking about he wants to go to college and everything now. He wasn't talking like that before.
It's stress though. He got a lot on his mind. He needs to process. Make sure you text me for the black psychologist I know down there so he could put you in touch with somebody.
Okay.
Okay. Please get some alarms on your door at night. Get some alarms on your door at night, or get an alarm on your door where you lock yourself in. You might got to get the key where you lock yourself in the house where he can't get out unless he has the key. But we can't just let him walk out the house like that, being intellectually disabled and autistic. That's a ticking time bomb. Either get some alarms or get the key where you have to actually unlock the door to leave.
Okay.
All right, Queen. Keep me posted. Don't forget to text me.
Okay, thank you.
All right now. No problem.
All right.
All right. Wow. Wow. Looks like we don't have a lot of parents this morning. A lot of them probably tapped off when my Instagram was sabotaged and disrupted earlier today. I'm looking to see if we got any parents with questions, and it doesn't look like we do. So
Hello?
good morning, Sister Shay. How is Atlanta treating you?
It's good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I saw that you sent the text, but I didn't read it, so you can just go ahead and tell me what's going on.
Yes, I just wanted your opinion on some things. I have a 12-year-old son currently in the city of Atlanta. He's attending a charter school. He's been attending that charter school since the 2nd grade. I felt like he had some issues then, so I requested some assistance, but never really got the help that I needed until I got an attorney involved in his 4th grade year. And it turned out that my child did have some diagnosable learning disabilities that the school was not assisting with.
What grade is your son in right now?
He's in the 6th grade.
He's in the 6th grade. And what grade was he evaluated for special ed and qualified for an IEP?
In the 4th grade.
So that would have been last school year?
That would be the year before last.
The year before last. But he's in the 5th, right?
He's in the 6th.
Okay, he's in the 6th. Okay, so 2 years ago. And what are his disability categories?
Specific learning disorder.
Now, let me stop you real quick. I want to clarify you on the specific learning disorder. Okay, outside of school, in the clinic, the hospital, the private practice, it's a specific learning disorder because it's considered a mental disorder. In the school, for special ed purposes, we don't call them disorders. We call them disabilities. The reason I'm bringing that up is not to split hairs, but I'm wondering, was he ever tested by the school or was he only tested outside of school? Because if he was tested in school, we wouldn't use the word disorder. We would use the word disability. So was he tested by the school?
I apologize. He was tested independently that I paid for myself
and
by the school, and it is disability, not disorder.
Okay. Now, do we know the specific learning disability categories? There's a basic reading skill, reading fluency, reading comprehension, math calculations, math reasoning, listening comprehension, oral expression, written expression. There's 8 different types of the specific learning disability. Do we know which type your son was classified with?
On his IEP, it just says other.
Okay, now you said IEP. Where is the psychological evaluation? It would be called psychoeducational evaluation, psychological evaluation, special ed evaluation, but the word evaluation would be on it. It's the testing. The evaluation contains all the information from the actual testing that was done with your son.
I have the testing. I have the IEP here in front of me.
Okay, you have the IEP in front of you, but do you have the evaluation in front of you? That's a separate document.
No, I do not.
Okay, so you got to get your hands on the evaluation. Without the evaluation, there is no IEP, because the evaluation must precede the IEP. The evaluation is the testing and the scores. The IEP is the learning program that is created as a result of what is on the evaluation. So in order for them to do the IEP, they need the evaluation. We need to see the evaluation, because I want to see what they classified him with and why they classified him with. That wouldn't be on the IEP. The IEP is only the learning program.
Okay. How do I get that information to you?
Okay. Well, do you have the evaluation in your hand? Not the IEP, the evaluation.
I have several documents. I'm sorry. I have
See if you see the word evaluation at the top of any of them.
No.
Okay, go back to the IEP. See if you see the disability listed on the IEP. You did say specific learning disability, right?
Right.
Does it say what subtype? Does it say basic reading skill, reading fluency? Okay, that is a big mistake that schools make. They tell the parents that your child has a learning disability, and they never tell you what kind. That's like me telling you have cancer, and I'm not telling you if it's breast, if it's kidney, is it stomach cancer? What kind of cancer, do you have? You know what I mean? So that's the same kind of situation. There's different kinds of disabilities, and you need to find out which kind your son had. It should be listed on the evaluation. And the way you can get the eval, two things you can do. Number one, you could call the school and speak with the special education coordinator and tell them you need a copy of your son's psychological evaluation that led to the IEP. I need the original testing and the scores. I need my son's psych eval. You could just do that. Or you could put a request into the school, a FERPA request, for a complete copy of your child's academic record. And so all you would do is, on a letter or sheet of paper, you say, my son attends We Hate Black Boys Charter School, Atlanta, Georgia. He's a 6th grader. I'm requesting a complete copy of my son's academic record to include all special education paperwork and evaluations, report cards, interim reports, standardized testing, classroom documentation, nurses information, and any other relevant behavioral infractions. I want you to brainstorm every possible document, put that in there. And then you say, I understand you have 45 days to provide me with a copy of my son's record. This is my rights as per the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. And they have 45 days to give it to you. Your son is in the 6th grade, so his records is probably not that.
Umar,
yes.
I hate to interrupt you, but I found it. I told you I have a book here because I've been doing this since 2nd grade.
Okay.
It says, I'm so sorry. It says specific learning disorder with impairment in reading, specific learning disorder with impairment in written expression, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, combined presentation, anxiety disorder, and that's it. Okay.
Now, what you just read to me were mental disorders. So that was not the school's eval. It sounds like your son had a private eval. There's probably a name at the top of that eval that's not the school district. Where did he get that? That was a clinical.
This is from Atlanta Public Schools, Mr. Dr. Umar.
Okay, well, see, here's the thing. The public school, we don't diagnose ADHD in the school. And remember, we don't call them disorders. We call them disabilities. You use the word disorder, and you also said ADHD. That's clinical. That's not special ed. That's clinical language. So did you get him tested outside of school and give the evaluation to the school?
Yes.
Okay. So who did the outside evaluation?
A private doctor here in Atlanta, Santa Vica.
Got you. So the private doctor did the clinical eval. You brought the clinical eval to the school. all the school did was copy what the doctor said. They included some of that in there, but the school can't call them disorders though. So
Okay.
I guess on the IEP, is that when they switched over the language from disorder to disability?
Yes.
Okay. So to me, though, it sounds like the school just went off what the outside doctor said, which we're not supposed to do that. We have to consider the outside information, but we do not have to go by it. So when a parent brings me some outside evals and say this outside psychologist said my son was gifted or my daughter was autistic or my grandson has a reading disability, I have to review it and I have to consider it. I'm not obligated to follow it and accept it. So in your case, I'm looking for what testing did the school do? Did they do any testing of their own?
Yes, they did the WISC. And they did some other testing, and I have the scores here.
Okay, so if the school did their own testing, where is the school's evaluation? Because you just read information that came from the clinician. Do you have a separate evaluation? So you should have a clinical eval, that's the outside one, done by the doctor, and then you should have a school eval done by the school. Is he at a public school or charter school?
He's with a charter school that's under Atlanta Public Schools
Right.
school system.
Right.
It says Atlanta Public Schools Psychological Evaluation Report. Is this not what I'm supposed to be reading to you?
Question, is that report, Atlanta Public School Psych Report, is that separate from the clinical eval that you had done? Do you have two different documents in your hand?
No, just one.
Okay, see, that's where I'm confused at, because you're supposed to have two different documents. So you're telling me everything. Well, where is your outside eval, though? Because you said he was tested by that outside doctor. Where is that doctor's eval?
Okay, so again, just to give you some background, I did that eval when he was in the 2nd grade because I felt like he needed help and the school wouldn't give me the eval from the school. So I used that to present to them to get them to do a formal evaluation for assistance.
Right, that's the way it goes. So I'm aware of that because that's the only way you could have done it. But where I'm saying is you should, for yourself, in order to properly advocate for your son, you should have a copy of that outside eval from 2nd grade. You should have that as a separate document by itself. And then next to that, you should have the Atlanta Public School eval as a separate document. In other words, you should be having two in front of you right now. Dr. Umar, here's the school's eval and here's the clinical eval. You should have two separate reports, but it sounds like you're reading from one.
Okay.
And you are reading from one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so and the one you're reading from is the Atlanta Public School eval, but they using clinical language in that eval, which makes me think, now you said they did the WISC. Are you sure they did their own WISC, or are they just giving you the scores from the WISC done by the outside psychologist?
They did their own WISC.
How do you know that?
Because I took him to the headquarters downtown on Trinity Avenue, and he was scheduled for a special evaluation from the school.
Okay, so show me in that report that you have where they mention disability and not disorder. Wherever you see disorder, they copied from the private psychologist eval. We do not use disorders in school. So where is the language where they're saying your son have a disability and not a disorder?
On page 412, they list the word disability.
Okay. And what disability are they saying? What, give me the special ed disability.
It says a category of specific learning disability in the state of Georgia must exhibit the following characteristics, and then they break it down.
Right. But which ones did they give him? Which ones that you can skip that part? Show me, what did they say he has? Disability. Like it may say comprehension, basic reading skill, reading fluency, or does it just say specific learning disability without a category? Yes,
that's all it says.
Okay, so that was a poorly done eval. Okay, let me go back now. So your son is classified with the learning disability. You didn't say, you said ADHD. Did the school run with the ADHD as well, or they only did the learning disability?
Yes, they did, and I feel like that was under the instruction of my attorney. She told me that in APS, they will try to not diagnose kids so that they can have behavioral issues. And she said, you don't want your son to get in the cycle of having behavioral issues. So if he's labeled as ADHD, then they can't penalize him or get him expelled or anything like that. So somehow ADHD was added to this report as well.
Okay. That means because we don't use ADHD in the school, remember that's a mental disorder. So because he was diagnosed with ADHD on the outside, what the school can do is they can now classify him as other health impairment, OHI. Do you see other health impairment in that evaluation? OHI for ADHD. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that means your son has a disability of specific learning disability, although they don't give you the subcategories. He also has OHI, so he has 2 different disabilities for which they qualified him for special ed. Me personally, I would have held off on that ADHD crap because that outside psychologist who diagnosed your son with ADHD never observed him in the classroom at all. He went purely off the complaints or the concerns of the teacher and possibly yourself. So a lot of our kids being diagnosed with ADHD, it's being done in an improper, unethical way because these psychologists are not being made to go into the school and observe these children. They're simply going off of what the teacher says, which to me should be a massive class action lawsuit by all black parents coming together and standing up against the mental health system. But anyway.
I understand that. So I never put him on medication. I lie and I tell them that he's on medication, but I do not put my son on medication.
Okay, so let me ask you this. He has other health impairment for ADHD. He has specific learning disability. He got these disabilities and he got his initial IEP in the 2nd grade, correct?
Yeah, well, in the 4th grade.
Okay, he's in the 6th now. Okay, I'm sorry. He got these in the 4th grade. He's now in the 6th grade. He's at the same school.
Yes.
Did he start that school in the 4th grade?
No, he started it in the second.
He started school in the 2nd, tested and qualified and given an IEP in the 4th. He's now in the 6th, right?
Yes.
The school goes to what grade?
8th.
The school goes to 8th. He's in the 6th. Okay, I'm with you right now. What is your problem at this point with your son and his education?
My problem is even with the IEP, the school has been found not following the IEP several times to the point where I was able to sue them and get compensatory education for them to pay for extra tutoring. I think it was like $10,000 grant. So I've been following this very closely, or as closely as I can, with the knowledge that I'm learning.
How much of the money have you used? So first of all, when did you get that settlement? What grade was he in when you got the comp ed settlement?
4th grade.
That was 2 years ago. How much of the $10,000 have you spent so far getting your son services?
Well, according to the policy, I had to use it within a year. So I had to use it on his 5th grade year. So I paid for tutoring services and I paid for a computer so that he can do the virtual days when they send him home to do homework at
Did
home.
you spend all the money?
They didn't give it to me to spend. The school spends it on whatever I asked them to spend it
Exactly. How much? That's what I mean. But how much did you spend?
Yeah, they paid for all of it. They paid.
I know they
tutoring.
did. But how much did you use it all up? Did you use the whole 10,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's over with.
Yes.
Got you. The reason I asked you that is because that comp ed money has a time limit. Like you said, they only gave you a year, but you said you used it all, so that was good because a lot of times parents end up losing it because they don't use it. And one of the reasons parents don't use the comp ed money is they kind of make it difficult for you to spend it sometimes, as I'm sure you probably experienced.
Yes, they tried that.
Okay. So the comp ed money is over. That was spent in the 5th grade. Now you're in the 6th grade. What is your issue now?
My issue now is that he's still failing school.
He's still failing?
He has all F's.
He got all F's and he got an IEP.
Yes, and he's still not receiving any of the services.
What?
I have him going to school now with a planner to document his day because they won't let me enter the school at all. And
what? Wait, why you can't enter the school?
Since COVID, they don't allow parents into the school anymore.
COVID is over. Wait a minute. Yes. Okay. And this is a charter school, right?
Okay. He's at Centennial Atlanta Charter School.
Okay. And you're telling me the charter school doesn't allow you into the school?
No, unless I'm there to pick my child up, and that's it.
And this is for every child in the school.
Yes, that is their policy.
That y'all, I'm surprised you parents haven't come together and made an official complaint with the school board and with the state of Georgia Education Department. Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of a public or charter school telling every parent, none of you are allowed inside this school unless you picking up and dropping off. That's what you telling me?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You can read the comments. That's pretty much around most schools now.
What the fuck? Nah, that ain't most schools. That ain't most schools. No, COVID is this 2024. COVID was 2020. I work in schools. Parents are going into schools. I've never heard. This is crazy.
Yeah.
What kind of school is this?
You present your ID because you will be stopped by a police officer and the representative at the front desk, and you sign what you want, which is to pick your child up. They call on the announcement service for your child to come up, and you have to wait for your child to come to you.
Wow. Well, let me say this. Let's put that to the side. Y'all need to organize and do a collective complaint. See, the reason they treat us like this, whether it's the charter school, public school, criminal justice system, American society, because they know black people are not organized and not interested in getting organized. What most other groups do is they get organized and they fight against their problems. And this is not on you, my sister, because we have to do this as a people. So this is on all of us, not you. But what most groups do when they have a problem, if they would have told all the Mexicans that they can't come in there, or if they would have told all the Jews they can't come in there, if they would have told all the Chinese they can't come in there, I promise you they would have organized and forced the school district and the state of Georgia education system to tell that school to let the parents back in. But what black people do, instead of organizing, we will pray and go to Jesus and Muhammad. That's the big difference between us and other groups. They organize to solve their problems. We go to church and mosque and we will pray for our problems to get solved instead of organizing to solve them. That's the big difference between black people and everybody else. We resort to supernatural assistance. Other groups don't resort to supernatural assistance. They resort to using their collective group power. But getting back on point here, I want to go back to your son. You said he's failing every class.
Yes. And I've been.
How long has he been failing every class?
Starting this semester.
Okay. Have you spoken with the attorney about this?
Yes, and I just had a most recent IEP meeting. I hired an
Wait,
IEP.
stay with me. Hold on. What did the attorney say? I want to know what the attorney said about your son. Got 2 disabilities, IEP, failing. What is her solution?
Everyone tells me to find another school.
No. We're not going to run. You're going to make them pay. Here's what I want to know from your attorney. You need to ask your attorney this. Listen to me.
Okay.
You got me a comp ed settlement for $10,000 last school year. Why didn't we fight for my son to get an approved private school? I want to know why your attorney didn't go for an APS, approved private school. Federal law says if you can prove that the school district cannot properly educate your child, they have to pay for your child to receive that proper special ed education at an approved private school. I want to know why your attorney did not go for the APS. Now, let me say this. If she has a reason why she didn't go for it last year, I want to know why she got a reason. If your son is failing everything with an IEP, that means special ed has failed your son. They have violated his right to FAPE. Have you ever heard of FAPE?
Yes, FAPE.
Yes. You need to include FAPE, free and appropriate public education, in every letter you write. You need to constantly say in meetings, you need to constantly put on paper that this charter school has denied my son his FAPE, his right to a free and appropriate public education. We're almost at the end of the year. When do the children get out for the summer break? May or June?
May the 25th.
May the 25th. We're almost at February the 25th. So your son got 3 months of school. He's failing everything. That lawyer needs to file another due process complaint against against that charter school with the State Department of Education. And this time, y'all need to go for an approved private school. Listen, the IEP got 3 responsibilities. 3. Program. What is your son going to learn when he's receiving special ed? Placement. Where is your son going to receive his special ed services? Progress. Making sure your son is benefiting from the services he is getting. Program, progress, and placement. If your son is failing every class, sister, that means the IEP team has failed with his program, they failed with his placement, and they definitely failed with his progress. You follow me?
Dr. Umar, they did give me a grant. He does have a grant where he can attend a private school, but it's only $6,000. I'm a social worker. I don't make the funds to pay for a private school out of pocket.
No, listen to me. That's ridiculous. Listen to me. $6,000 for a private school? No. Stay with me. Stay with me. The law says they're supposed to pay for the education, not give you a piece of the money. You feel me?
Yes.
They're supposed to be covering your son's entire education because they have failed him. It sounds like your lawyer might be working for them more than working for you. I don't care about no damn grants. They're supposed to be paying his entire education, not giving you no grant towards the education. They're supposed to be covering the whole thing. I want you to understand that. Do you feel me?
Yes.
It ain't about no grant. Forget F-U-C-K the grant. Excuse me, my boy. F that. They're supposed to be, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. You need to have one more conversation with the attorney about approved private school. I don't want you to talk to about nothing else. They are violating his FAPE again. My son is entitled to an approved private school because the federal law says if the school can't meet the needs of the child, they have to pay. Not give you a piece of the money, not 20%, not 30%, not a $6,000 grant. They're supposed to pay for the whole education, and they do it from year to year. So they will cover his education for the first year. Then y'all have another IEP meeting, and y'all decide if he need to stay at the approved private school for a second year. And if he does, y'all have another IEP meeting at the end of that year, and then y'all decide if he needs to stay at the 30. So it's done on an annual basis, but he should at least be getting it for that first year. You need to have a conversation with your attorney as to why y'all haven't went for this. Is she willing to go for this now? If not, why not? And the reason she gives you, you need to run that back by me because I want to know what the hell she says if she says y'all cannot go for the APS.
Okay.
Yes, if your son, now I'm assuming, good sister, I'm assuming he goes to school on a regular basis. I'm assuming you are involved. I'm assuming you go to the IEP meetings. They can reach you.
That is correct.
Okay, because they will try to blame you. They will say it ain't our fault. He ain't making no progress. He don't do his homework. Don't come to class. He ain't focused. We can't get mom. She don't come to IEP meeting. So we got to make sure they can't dump this on you. They can't dump this on you, right?
They can't dump anything on me.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
I think that's what the issue is.
What you mean? Why you say you think that's the issue?
I feel like they're not giving my son what he needs because of my previous compensatory education.
But they can't do that. Here's one concern I do have. We're going to have to talk again, obviously, because I want you to take the conversation with the lawyer. When you get on the phone, screen record it. Don't tell her, just do it. Screen record it, that conversation, and I want you to send it to me. You feel me?
Yes.
Don't forget. Tape that conversation. I want to listen to your conversation with the attorney about APS so I can see whether or not she's really fighting for you. You might need to get another attorney or you can fight for due process on your own. But if your son is failing every class and he got an IEP, that's insanity.
I'm concerned because he has a paraprofessional in the class with him, so he should not be failing.
Absolutely. He should not be failing. Let me ask you this. Is he in a full-time classroom?
Yes.
Do you believe your son need to be in special ed all day?
No, because he says when they pull him, all he does is sit in front of a computer.
See that? That means his FAPE is being violated. You know what else is being violated? His LRE, least restrictive environment. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Least restrictive environment.
That's why I fought for a co-taught with a paraprofessional to pull him out of that classroom.
Well, right. Well, LRE says your son should be in the regular class for the subjects that you believe he can handle. You feel me?
Yes.
And if he's in special ed all day, they're not only violating FAPE because he's failing everything, they're violating least restrictive environment because you believe he can learn in some regular classes and he's not being given the opportunity to learn in any. Am I correct?
Yes.
I don't understand why the lawyer isn't going for APS. Now, here's the one concern I have. I have one concern, good sister. One concern. So you're going to take the meeting with the lawyer. That's number one. Number two, we're going to either find another lawyer or you're going to do another due process on your own, and I will help you with it and walk you through it. But here's my concern for you. When you signed that comp ed agreement last year, when you got that $6,000 grant,